What if Ahsoka wasn't on Umbara? It starts when Anakin is called back to Coruscant by Chancellor Palpatine. Jedi Master Pong Krell is assigned to take over the 501st. However, Ahsoka is also called to the surface from where she was helping the space battle. They warned her to take on a liaison role between Krell and the 501st, but also give her a chance to be taught by another Jedi. She gets to the rallying point after Anakin leaves and thus finds Krell and reports in. Ahsoka immediately doesn't like Krell, especially how he treats the men of the 501st, calling them by their number designations and treating them like things of living beings. She tries to speak to him about it, but he is steadfast. He just has to put up with it. He's also hard on her for not acting like a Jedi. She has to act to fit his criteria. From the start, Krell puts the men under pressure and commands Ahsoka to take the point, while he himself stays back and watches. She's thankful for this because it's not only what she's used to, but she's not under his supervision, and can actually use herself around the clones. Though she wants to help the clones, there isn't much she can do, especially as Krell force marches them for over 12 hours straight initially. It doesn't help that immediately after that march, Krell changes the plans made by Anakin and orders an advance on the main road and forbids the retreat. Her and Rex try to change his mind, but it's no avail, so they lead the men along the main road. Along the way, the men talk among themselves about the new general, mostly bad things, and it is only Dogman Rex that stuck up for him. They come across a minefield that alerts the Umbara and the militia to their presence, and they are quickly surrounded in the open, leaving them exposed. Ahsoka tries her best to defend the men, but doesn't dare leave the group. They were quickly being overwhelmed, and Rex orders everyone to fall back to try to bait the Umbarans out. Ahsoka covers their retreat, deflecting battle shots and getting the clones back on their feet. When they're almost back to the original position, reinforcements come out to meet them, and after the Umbarans are driven back, so does Krell. He questions Rex why they retreated and disobeyed orders, but Ahsoka jumps in, taking the blame, saying that it was her command, though Rex contradicts her, not wanting her to be blamed. And 5 steps in, stating that the original plan was flawed to begin with, and they are not to blame. Krell tells him off, using his lightsaber to get the point across, then commends Rex for standing up to him, before rebuking Ahsoka for disobeying him and not acting like a proper Jedi. He promptly leaves, and Ahsoka has just enough time to shout out to take cover before Umbarans launch a counterattack. They are forced to hold their ground for hours, being attacked by both air and land forces, before Obi-Wan contacted Krell and told him to capture the Umbaran airbase to cut off supplies in the capital, whose defense were proving formidable. They set off at once and quickly reach the outskirts of the airbase. Krell orders a frontal attack through a narrow gorge, and Ahsoka and Rex hesitantly agree as he tells them time was of the essence to help Obi-Wan. They manage to convince the men to go along with the plan, though even more of them are now against Krell, and it is only Dogma that vehemently stands up for him. Rex makes 3 squads, one led by him, Hardcase, and Fives, with Fives being at the front, followed by Rex's squad and Hardcase's. Ahsoka naturally stays at the front, not only because Krell ordered it, but because she wanted to keep up morale and show that not all Jedi are like Krell. As they make their way through the gorge, they come under attack by 3 impeding assault tanks. Ahsoka does her best to distract and get as many men out of their path as possible while they wait for rocket launchers to be brought up. One gets destroyed by a rocket launcher before Rex sets a trap for the other 2 using thermal detonators. Once they finish them off and collect the wounded, they continue their way through the gorge. However, they are again quickly confronted by 3 mobile heavy cannon platforms. Rex tries to request backup, but Krell refuses and orders him to keep going. They have little choice but to obey, but they soon learn that nothing they have works against them. They fall back to a defensive line, and Ahsoka promptly goes to get as many clones, both wounded and not, to that line. Once that is done, Rex informs her that he sent Fives and Hardcases to Umbara starfighters to use against the mobile cannons, so she goes about to distract the cannons as they arrive. They are nearly overwhelmed, but the fires arrive just in the nick of time, quickly destroying the mobile cannons. The airbase quickly falls after that, mostly due to damage Hardcase and Fives did as they were still in the fighters. And Ahsoka and the men of the 501st finally get the rest. However, the Umbarans are desperate to take the airbase, launching counterattacks and firing long-range missiles. Not only that, but the supplies to the capital were now being delivered from a separatist supply ship in orbit. Also, 2 and were being joined back from the capital, and Obi-Wan informed Krell of this. Krell insisted on just taking the capital, and though Obi-Wan tried to protest, the communication was lost. Krell orders them to prepare to move, even as Rex and Ahsoka try to convince him against it, since it will be a kill zone, and to try to corner Obi-Wan even if they do, but he overrules them. Afterwards, while talking to the men, Fire suggests that they can use the capture starfighters to sink past the blockade and destroy the supply ship. Rex brings up the Krell, but he refuses, insisting all able-bodied men were needed to take the capital. Rex relents, but Fives insists on doing it anyway, and Ahsoka agrees with him. Fives recruits Hardcase and Jesse to fly with him, and Ahsoka insists on accompanying them. Their plan is to repeat what Anakin did as a kid and find inside the supply ship and destroy its reactor. They are launched to Krell, but Rex covers them, stating that he sent them to do a reconnaissance of the Umbaran capital. The four of them reach orbit and manage to keep calm and avoid Republic forces. Since they were flying Umbaran starfighters, the severed force didn't question them and they made it safe to the supply ship. However, once inside they were identified and Hardcase the starfighter was damaged. The ray shield was activated, preventing them from using the fighter's weapons to destroy the reactor. Hardcase, using the undamaged power source of his fighter, uses the side door to bring it to the reactor, intending to sacrifice himself, ordering the rest of them to leave. However, Ahsoka stops him, ordering him back and telling him that she would use the force to launch into the reactor. He's hesitant, but once he sees that she won't let him, nor will she leave, he complies. She tells him to pilot her fighter, though she is forced on his lap as there is no other room, and just hopes that the fighter can carry their combined weight. Once he's in, they're settled to the point where he can fight the fire with her. She launches the power source into the reactor. They are flying full speed out of the ship as it explodes around them, but they manage to make it out. They safely reach the surface but are immediately stunned by Krell. Rex tries to take responsibility, but since Ahsoka is commanding officer, and since she blatantly states that she was the one who went behind Krell's back and ordered this, then all blame was to be on her. Krell complies, but also states that Jesse, Fives, and Hardcase were to be court-martialed and executed for going along with it and disobeying him. He not only orders for them to be locked up, but also for Ahsoka as well. Everyone protests this, but Krell makes himself clear that since Ahsoka not only disobeyed him as a Jedi Master, but also disobeyed him as a general of the GAR, she was guilty of treason as well, though her punishment would be decided by the Jedi Council as they govern their own. Ahsoka relents and allowed them to arrest her and put her in prison. The men joke that she can finally have a break, and truthfully she's more worried about Fives, Jesse, and Hardcase, since everyone knows that Anakin won't stand first facing trial, but it won't be here in time for them. Rex tries to reason with Krell, but he just makes it worse as Krell orders him to be immediately executed. Rex assembles a squad to do it and brings the three to be executed, even as they try to get Rex to see that he's being used by Krell.
Wait! This is wrong, and we all know it. The General is making a mistake, and he needs to be called on it. No clone should have to go out this way. We are loyal soldiers. We follow orders, but we are not a bunch of unthinking droids. We are men. We must be trusted to make the right decisions, especially when the orders we are given are wrong. Fire!
Because the squad refuses to execute them, Rex backs them, with Dogma staying silent, starting to not trust Krell with his treatment of Ahsoka. Ahsoka is ready to see them being brought back into prison. Krell summons Rex and inquires as to why they are not dead, but Rex stands up to him saying he's Captain Rex. But before anything happens, a transmission comes through stating that the Umbarans had seized weapons and uniforms, and were staging an attack posing as clones. Rex assembles some men and goes out to meet the threat. The fight is brutal, and as they advance, Rex senses something off. Going to a fallen enemy, he removes the helmet and is horrified to see it's a clone, a member of the 212th. He manages to alert both sides of what is going on by running into the middle of the battlefield, waving his arms and shouting that they are all clones, then grabbing a member of the 212th and forcing the helmet off as proof, getting them to cease firing. After taking everything in, Kix leads him to Waxer, who is in charge. He's fatally wounded, but manages to tell Rex they have received the same news as him from Krell, and was told to come to these coordinates. Krell has staged this incident. Rex dies immediately after. Enraged, Rex assembles the surviving clones.
We all know who's responsible for what happened out there. What we don't know is why. Something has to be done. What I'm proposing is highly treasonous. If any man chooses to opt out, do it now. From this point forward, we are entering uncharted territory. My orders are, we arrest General Krell for treason against the Republic.
All the men willingly followed back to airbase to confront Krell. On the way, they released Fives, Jesse, Hardcase, and Ahsoka, arming and explaining the situation to them along the way. Ahsoka is horrified and stands with the men against Krell. They tell him to surrender, but instead he goes on the attack, force pushing them back. Ahsoka ignites her lightsaber and jumps in, engaging him, though he is much stronger and more experienced than she. However, he does not intend to fight them here, and he quickly disengages and jumps out the observation window. Ahsoka jumps out after him, trying to tie him down and distract him. He makes a fighting escape through the airbase, but as Ahsoka keeps engaging him, it slows him down, allowing clones to surround him, though they are hesitant to fire with Ahsoka so close. As he fights their, Krell taunts her, saying that this was all set up, that they are all his pawns, and that his plan was perfect and still happening. Their fight spills into the forest, though Ahsoka and the clones are always on his tail. However, Ahsoka is tiring quickly, not only because of how strong he is, but as he had been fighting here constantly for days, while he had remained rested and fresh. However, as they make their way through the forest, Tup has an idea to use a Vixus to distract Krell, long enough to neutralize him. Finding one, he informs Rex and Ahsoka breaks off towards Tup, understanding that Krell likely wished to kill her, they're not sure why, but couldn't with the clones around. Her instincts prove correct as he immediately gives chase. She finds Tup and gives Krell an opportunity to cut her off, which it takes. However, that path was right over the Vixus, which grabs him just as he swings at Ahsoka, his lightsaber grazing her side. As he dangles in midair, the clones are shooting at him, though he's still deflecting the shots. Ahsoka tells Tup, who came to her aid, to use stun rounds like they did in training, since they were harder to block. Tup manages to stun Krell just as he manages to free himself, and the other men kill the Vixus. They handcuff Krell and drag him back to the airbase, as well as helping Ahsoka get back. When Krell wakes up and Rex questions him, Krell tauntingly tells him everything. He tells him that he's no longer naive enough to be a Jedi. He foresaw a new power rising, that the Jedi would lose this war and the Republic would be torn apart from within. In his place, a new order would rise, and he would be part of it. He serves himself, but soon he would also serve his new master, Count Dooku. For not only driving the Republic from Umbara, but also killing Ahsoka, the Chosen One's apprentice, Dooku would have no choice but to reward him by making him his new apprentice. He just needed to wait till the Umbarans retook the airbase, and his plan would be complete. Upon leaving, they found the last communication from Obi-Wan before Krell had destroyed the transmitter, saying that the capital had fallen, but all Umbaran forces were making a last attack against the airfield. They knew they had to kill Krell in case the base fell. Ahsoka, with her wound patched and though weary, was with them, and Rex told her everything that Krell had said. She agrees that he must die, as it was unlikely they would be able to hold out, and accompanies him to the prison. Dogma also asked to be there, having overheard what Rex told Ahsoka. And though Rex hesitant, Ahsoka grants his request. On the way, Rex told Ahsoka that he would be the one to pull the trigger, and she doesn't argue. Everyone stays silent as Rex tries to get up the courage to pull the trigger. All the while, Krell taunts him. Krell gets more confident as time passes, but a sun blast shot rings out, hitting Krell, and he collapses dead. They all look to Dogma, who was the one that fired the shot. He told them it was the least he could do for Rex, for doubting him and the men of the 501st. He didn't want Rex to have more blood on his hands, and that he was willing to accept the consequences, whatever they were. Ahsoka speaks up, telling him to return to his unit, and that she and Rex would talk. But as of now, they need to focus on repelling the impending Umbaran attack. If they survived, they would deal with the consequences then. The attack commences quickly after, and they are only safe from annihilation when Obi-Wan and the 212th engaged the force from the rear. The 212th then went on to rout the remaining holdouts in the area. With minimal threats and reinforcements pouring in, Ahsoka and the men of the 501st could finally rest and process everything that had happened. Ahsoka and Rex decided to give Dogma meaning or chose as punishment, not having the heart to do anything worse as they never truly did anything wrong. As they were taken off Umbara and the Republican Jedi learned of what had transpired, they could only wonder what this was all for and what the future would hold.